Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and it's 2 a.m. Uh, I've just finished watching Luca. It just premiered a few hours ago, and I had to watch it right when it launched, and now I'm done. This is a movie from Pixar. It is an hour and 41 minutes long. It's obviously from 2021. It's barely 2 hours old. It's a movie that went directly to Disney Plus. It is available to see in one theater, as far as I know, at the El Capitan in Hollywood right now, just for a week or so. And but you get to watch it on Disney Plus. Odds are, if you're watching this, you have Disney Plus. And I'm here to tell you what I just saw. I'm not going to spoil the story or anything else. I'm going to give you kind of a roll up just to about anything that might be considered a spoiler, but I'm not going to ruin the story for you at all. Just give you the kind of basic overview that you'd kind of get in the trailers, but clarifying it just a tad. Anyway, Luca, it follows in the grand tradition of every Pixar film, just creating a world of wonder and excitement through the eyes of, well, in this case, literally fish out of water characters. These are there's a boy named Luca, and he is a mer person. He's like a merman, mer boy. I don't know. They don't ever say what species or creature they are. It is they are considered sea monsters, and they live in an area where people are quite afraid of the sea monsters they happen to see, and they don't know what they look like exactly. They just get glimpses of them, and they draw them and put them on, you know, signs and post them around their little town, living in fear, hoping that they can somehow spear one of these things. Anyway, Luca is one of those sea monsters, and he's a simple kid, like a 10-year-old or something like that. I don't know, but he's a little shepherd boy, and that's one of the cute things that I love right off the bat with this. I yes, he's a shepherd of sheep, and I'm not going to give that away, but you have to see his sheep. They're one cute and so doofy awesome. It's just, yeah. So Luca the shepherd boy, he's kind of curious about the outside world above the water. He sees trinkets and things that are dropped into the ocean, sitting on the floor, and he becomes more curious as to where they come from, what the world is like out there. But his parents are very much against, especially his mother, very much against him ever even talking about going to the surface or seeing those horrible human monsters that live up there. Just stay away from that. It's too dangerous. He'll die. Just no, don't go there. Mom is played by Maya Rudolph, as you would know from Saturday Night Live and so many other shows, and she does a ton of voice work these days. Jim Gaffigan plays his dad. It took me a little while. I forgot to check before I did this. Oh, jeez. Okay, there's, and then I was there's not a whole lot of names that I recognize in this, because a lot of them, it takes place off the shore of Italy and in Italy itself. So this is a very Italian film, from the music, a wonderful, gorgeous soundtrack. So this is like a mid, I'd say 60s era of 1960s era, because there's Vespas. That becomes a major plot point. But I was going back to the voice cast. There's an Uncle Ugo, who is not used a whole lot in this, except he's an unsettling character. But Uncle Ugo, in his very short scene, um, played by Sacha Baron Cohen, Borat. So, yeah, he makes an impression, a very big impression right off the bat. The main characters, Luca is voiced by Jacob Tremblay, and Jack Dylan Grazer plays Alberto. And Alberto is a boy that Luca runs into, and they become fast friends, and they just happen to both be sea monsters. So, but Alberto is not afraid to go to the surface. He's kind of made a life up there, and he tempts Luca with this life, and they become fast friends. This is the kind of film that I kind of wish I could watch it under the stars, under the fishes, under the stars, in an open air kind of thing. If you get I know there's going to be no theaters screening this, but in the future, should you ever get the opportunity, my hair is going out of control. Should you ever get the opportunity to see this like on a big screen outdoors, like I don't know, drive-in or a blanket family screening, whatever they do. They've been doing a lot of those during the pandemic, but here in LA we do a lot of screenings of movies, usually a lot of family friendly movies, and this would fall definitely into that realm. On the beach even, and it would be great to see this movie on the beach. It's perfect. It has a lot of, it evokes a lot of the joy and the freedom of summer as you were as a kid. You don't have to go to school. There's no responsibilities for the most part, except for being a shepherd. But yeah, and sort of going wild with your friends, and that's what Luca experiences in this. And in the course of discovering what a Vespa is, he and Alberto decide that they're going to visit the local town, where there might be Vespas everywhere. Just free roaming Vespas. They might even get to meet Mr. Vespa and get a Vespa of their own to travel the world and just explore. And that's kind of their dream. And of course, in the process of this, they meet a girl named Julia, and that's when things get interesting. Of course, it's not like his parents don't realize that he's gone. He's technically a runaway at this point, and his parents, beyond being voiced by great comedic talent, they're some of my favorite characters. Normally you see animated films or things like that where the parents tend to be the villain of a kid who just wants to break free and live his life. And you get King Triton, and it's a very apt connection here with King Triton. Saying, Ariel, don't mess around with those humans, and he's kind of puts the clamp down with Ariel in The Little Mermaid. In this situation, though, there's no magic, there's no deal with Ursula. The moment that Alberto and Luca become dry on land, they look human, and so they just have to watch out, make sure they don't get wet, and that's the big challenge that they have to deal with, which makes for some very intense, but sometimes also very funny moments for our heroes. So, and there's lots of emotional conflict, and there's we get to learn a little bit about Alberto and his story. He's got some secrets, and we meet a number of different characters along the way throughout the town, just that are just sort of mysterious. I mean, there's some people that are not mysterious at all, in the sense that they just want to kill a sea monster. And this town that Luca and Alberto have found is pretty much full of people who are hungry to catch a sea monster, or spear one. We also get a villain. We only get it, while people say that this is very much a Studio Ghibli feel to it. Ghibli films tend to not have a villain per se. In most cases, or all cases, I'm trying to think. But in this case, there is definitely a rival, let's just say, that comes into play, who's very full of himself, and the boys have to struggle against him. The boys and Julia have to struggle against this guy who is he's not a scary villain at all, but he's very he's snooty, he's a jerk, and he's funny in a way that he doesn't intend to be. But he makes for a great bit of conflict for our heroes in this. So yeah, I want to be as vague as possible. Yes, there are no really. Once you see how this story plays out, you kind of figure which way it's going to go, how it's going to happen. the decisions some of the characters are going to make. There's not a ton of surprises. This is not wholly original story wise, but the way it's told, the characters that are depicted, like I said, Studio Ghibli, to me it felt more like a Leica, the studio thing. Leica tends to do a lot of the stop motion. They do stop motion films. They do, Missing Link and Coraline and just a bunch of others, Kubo. The characters kind of look like they're styled in that way, like they could have come from the stop motion world of Leica, but this is very much a Pixar thing, and it's one of the rare situations where we have human looking characters as the main focus. Because we see fish and toys and other things in this. By the way, I was looking through for a Finding Nemo reference through this entire thing, and maybe I'm just tired and I didn't see one. I don't know. Maybe you'll find one, but I would figure there would be a Finding Nemo or a A113. I'm sure there's an A113 somewhere in there, but I'm sure there's Easter eggs to be found in future watches. I'm pretty sure. But no, this is just so it's fun. It's lighthearted. It's beautifully done. Again, you can't escape the water effects that they use. I love the water effects in any Pixar film because they always get better with each film. Just the surface animation, the backgrounds, everything else. The town is so lush. The water, the world above and below the water, it's just so beautifully done. It's the kind of thing I think I would love to watch over and over again. I know a 2-year-old that I think he'd really get a kick out of watching this movie, even though he probably won't understand most of it. I think he'd get a quick kick out of it. It's so colorful. Luca is a very imaginative kid. He has dreams for days. And when his imagination goes off, it's gorgeous. It's just how they animate his dream sequences and his daydream sequences. There's even a moment where he's this is not a plot spoiler or anything else, but you get to see him and Julia in one of his fantasies flying on Leonardo da Vinci plane type things, the flying machines. So that's kind of neat. There's tons of Italian references throughout this thing. So it's very much entrenched in the culture. And while everybody's speaking English, of course, in the English version, there's tons of Italian phrases and conversations throughout, especially with the hands. They don't shorthand any of the expression, the expressiveness of the Italian people. So that's kind of on point without being stereotypical or insulting. It's actually kind of neat. But yeah, by the way, do stay till after the credits. There is a sequence at the end of the credits. You must stay for that. It's nothing important to the story, but it's still funny. It's great. And during the credits, you get to see some hand-drawn sketches of each of the characters as to what likely happened to them after the end of the film. So you kind of get a little additional story in still frame shots as the credits roll, so you get an idea of what our characters experienced after everything wrapped up in the animated portion. So highly recommend this film. Highly recommend it. It was it's just fun. It's just a fun experience. So I cannot recommend it enough. Once again, Pixar knocks it out of the park, and it's just good fun. All right, let's pick tomorrow's episode. We're almost at the end of the month and the end of the quarter. We're going to reboot this list very soon. Okay, make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Hey, Luca. Yeah, see how the faces, the mouths kind of remind you of, stop motion animation characters. Here we go. Let's pick tomorrow's episode.
102.
102. Okay. I've heard about this, but I don't know what it is offhand. It's a series, so we'll probably just watch 1, 2, 3 episodes, depending on how long they are. We're going to watch Crash and Bernstein. Crash and Bernstein. Alright. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I don't know what. I really like this movie, so I'm going to drag this out a little bit more. Because you can't get enough of my face and all this hair. Don't get used to it. Crash and Bernstein on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow. With that, bye.